Hey everybody, I hope that this finds you well and with lots of love, love, love in your life and in your heart today. I'm excited to be back with another Love Notes short. And I thought it would be fun and kind of cool to pull out all of my favorite tarot decks and then subsequently pull out all of the lovers cards in each deck. This will kind of give you an idea of my flavor of the cards that I gravitate towards, but also I think it's so interesting to focus on one card and see where each artist and or designer takes their interpretation of the lover's card. Love has all flavors and many facets, and when I was developing my Love is Always the Way Oracle cards over the last year and a half, I ended up with 56 cards because I had to cap it at some point, but I could have gone on and on. I had a much longer list of ideas, and maybe there'll be a version 2.0. But I find it so intriguing to see where everybody takes the concept of love. And let me just start by saying that the Lover's card is number 6 in the major arcana in the tarot, and the number 6 basically means balance between extremes. So right out of the chute, it's on and it's popping, right? So it's going to be interesting to take a closer look at how each person developed their concept around the idea of love. And if you choose to read reversals, then that's a whole nother thing. But what I have found, even just taking a closer look at all of these cards together, in the details, there's so much to be gleaned even just with the upright presentation. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pop a picture up of each card at the beginning and then do a brief overview. So let's go. Did any of you guess who that card was from? I'm going to show you each of the boxes so you know which deck it is and who it's by. So if you're interested in getting it or you don't have it, you can. So that was from The Good Tarot by Colette Baron Reed. I will just say up front, if I pronounce anyone's name incorrectly, I am so sorry. And here is her lover's card. I love all of these cards, but I love this one. I thought it was an apropos first pick because she calls her lover's card love. And her key word right away is oneness, no separation. She talks a lot about abundance and how love is the gateway to light and magic. And it's really beautifully illustrated here with these two pillars and the light being on the other side. And I feel like the design in which the 6 sits reminds me of a sun. So I feel like the sun is shining down on this beautiful picture of this young woman and this lion in repose. It feels like they're in a very peaceful, restful state. And of course, anything with a lion always makes me think of strength. So they're leaning and depending on each other and drawing strength and comfort from each other while they're doing it. Okay, on to the next one. This one is the Herb Crafters Tarot, which I kind of bought on a whim. I think I saw somebody use it and I thought, oh, that's beautiful. I'm finding myself drawn to a lot of plant and botanical tarot and oracle card decks. And so this one, the Herb Crafters Tarot, the artwork is by Joanna Powell Colbert, and it's written by Letitia Guthrie. And I just want to show you the back of the card because doesn't that just make you happy? That just made me happy. All the beautiful colors and herbs and leaves and flowers. So their lover's card is the Hawthorn. And I adore this card because I'm also a huge fan of the infinity symbol. So they talk a lot about the blossoming of love. So within this idea of the infinity symbol, love blossoms. It can also wound, so that goes to the point of finding the balance in extremes. And ultimately, love heals. And as I said in my last video, I feel like we're just in this time right now where a lot of inner child wounding and earlier life wounding is coming up right now to really purge and be healed. You can't heal anything until it comes to the surface. And you know, love isn't always easy. Love has its pain points as well. And what's so beautiful about this is it's represented in the fact that there are thorns also, you know, on the vines. But this, to me, when I look at it, it also makes me feel happy, but there's a flavor of peace and passion. I feel like white flowers for me indicate a level of peace, and red is passion. The next one, speaking of plants, is the Tarot of Plants. My friend Gina gave me this deck and I just love it. I love the white space, the simplicity of it. It's kind of a simple system. I have to say there's no author or artist name on here that I could find, either on the box or there's just a small little insert sheet, but it's from emptyandamazing.com. So I don't have a lot to offer in terms of what they say about the card, but I can certainly tell you my thoughts on the card. So the name of this plant is Trillium, Trillium, and their key words for this card is strong and connection. So strong connection. And my immediate takeaways, I always look at all the details and I look at colors. So of course I went to the purple background, which to me is indicative of the third eye. So connecting up and into your intuition. And then the fact that this is green, the Trillium is green, made me think of the heart chakra. So when you connect those two things together, you kind of have a perfect love, and hopefully you're in alignment and on point and on your path. The other thing that struck me about this as I was kind of zoning into the details is that these two little trilliums here are close together and they're touching and they're connecting, but there's also some space in between them. So I just felt that this was a representation of very healthy love. And again, I love the simplicity of these cards, and love can be complicated, but really at the core, it's simple. It's the highest vibration in the universe. And when you tune in with your third eye chakra, you'll find it. The Crystal Unicorn Tarot is one of my faves, and it was one of my initial decks. It's based on the Rider-Waite, which I found very helpful when I was learning, because I really wanted to do a deep dive into understanding all the details and then go to more interpretive decks after I had a better sense. And I just love the colors of this deck. And this is by Pamela Chen. She's got a great website, Instagram, all the good stuff. And again, see the back of her cards are just gorgeous. All the pastels. So she features a crystal, of course, because this is a crystal unicorn. So this crystal on the Lover's card is Morganite. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. And it is the ultimate love stone. Basically, rose quartz on crack. Who does not need more of that? And she talks a lot about attraction and spiritual insights and harmony. I mean, this card just in and of itself is harmony. But again, I love, this unicorn angel in the sky, and, just connecting up to the third eye with the purple and the angel's wings. And kind of like I said on the last one, there's you know, they're looking at each other and there's some healthy space, but they're dialed in and the sun is shining. Modern Witch up next. I adore this deck because I really was chomping at the bit for a more representative and diverse deck. And so this is one of the first ones that I got. And I love the box too. I'm a nerd for the details, but it's one of these boxes. And so let me tell you who it is. Lisa Sterling. So much color, and it's so interesting because, you know, you look at the Crystal Unicorn, which was just so many bright pastels, and then we go to the Modern Witch and it's a lot more in the deep jewel tones, but once again, lots of purple. So she talks about reaching to new heights, which I thought was especially apropos because this is such a diverse deck and it has a lot of modern touches to it, hence Modern Witch Tarot. And I like this because, again, there's a lot of purple. You see that what I would take to be the representation of the divine masculine, which could be a man or a woman or they, however you feel like it represents you. But to me, again, going to the third eye chakra here, and again, up above and in the mountain. So to me, it's about conquering the mountain together. There's some space in between them, but they're clearly connected energetically and united. And I love this galaxy background because to me, that takes it to the higher energy space. And I just feel good juju from this card. A lot of mutual adoration, and again, lots of angel support. And because I nerd out on colors, I thought her choice of colors was really cool because the wings are actually red, which takes me to the root chakra. So a lot of passion that upholds and leads. And then she's blue, so there's that throat chakra communication element. And then purple. Oh, and this is one of the bonus cards in the Modern Witch Tarot. I'm going to read it to you, but I love bonus cards, and I kept this one in. It says, "You are a badass being full of life, love, and possibilities. Through this deck, may you find a path to your best self." Love is always the way. This is a big ass box. This is an excellent tarot deck. If you're just learning tarot, Kathy McClellan, who did this, her descriptions are so thorough and the booklet is big, and you could learn so much just simply by working with this deck and this booklet. I love it. And her colors, again, very similar to Modern Witch in a lot of jewel tones, and her intricate details tell so much. I was drawn immediately to the blue, as I was saying in several of these other cards. I'm seeing a lot of purple, of course, but in this one, there is a lot of blue. So to me, that takes me immediately to communication and the throat chakra. But in her description, she talks a lot about sacred marriage and healing union. I also love this card. I've pulled this for a couple of my friends when I've done readings for them with the dove, because I feel like it's like the nosedive of peace straight down the center. So there's some messages coming through, divine intervention messages. Again, the sun at the top, which I love. But I just feel it's indicative of peace and harmony coming between the two of them. And really, this looks to me a little bit like a cup, as in the suit of cups. She talks about free will and choice and freedom, which made me go back to the number 6, again, of course, because as the beginning I was saying, 6 is the number of balance. So you have the divine masculine and the divine feminine and the polarity between the two and between self and others. And any relationship we are in, and especially our love relationships, are mirrors. So they reflect back to us our strengths and our weaknesses, and are always giving us something to work on and a way to be better. She also mentions sacred sexuality. And the thing I also love about this card, maybe because I'm a Virgo, is the groundedness. So there's this connection down to the earth. And I mean, the symbolism in this card could go on and on. You know, look at the butterflies and transformation, but groundedness at the bottom on up to higher guidance at the top and illumination. Speaking of sacred sexuality, this is my Va 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 Voom deck, thanks to Made for Love and Hush Tarot. I don't think any of the key parts on this are rated R, but just FYI. This is by Laura Twan. Again, sorry on names. And the art is by Mauro De Luca. The words on here are in at least 4 languages. So if English isn't your first language, then you have that to work with too. So one of the key words that they talk about with this card is seduction. I don't know if you can see it really well, but there's Cupid up here at the top. And I think it was Made for Love that said the other day that this can represent, you know, a relationship where there's 3 people in the relationship. It could be a triangle, could be a polyamorous relationship. I mean, any direction that you want to take it. I was actually thinking as I was looking at it a little bit more closely that it could also be the representation of self, because I think we are all different flavors in one, and we have our moments. And so there is this, you know, feisty vixen energy here, and there's this energy of strength in the middle, and there's this energy of vulnerability on the other side. So we are hopefully in one way or another all things within our intimate relationships. So speaking of love and all kinds of love relationships, I was very excited to get the Pride Tarot deck. It's a collaborative deck, again, because I wanted to have tarot deck sets in my collection that I felt were modern and diverse and representative of all peeps, all kinds of love. And the cool thing about this deck is that it is a collaborative deck, so each card is designed by somebody different. So this Lover's card is designed or illustrated, by Robin Scott. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, that you could just stare at that card for a long time because there's so much going on there. I love the pink. I love of course, the rainbow down here, and then there's a rainbow flag up here. And I don't know if you can read that, but an army of lovers cannot lose. I wanted to make sure I read that exactly for you. An army of lovers cannot lose. So this is actually something that Robin designed from the New York City Queer Liberation March in 2019. So much going on in this card. But I love that Robin included just so many different images and representations of love in one card. I love that, hopefully you can see it. I'm kind of bouncing around holding these cards, but the Statue of Liberty in the background, which to me, I live in the United States and I value my freedom, and I value the freedom of all, because nobody is free until everybody is free. So I thought that was very powerful. And I love the fact that they're marching too. I just feel like in the world that we're living in right now and in the last few years, I have hit the bricks myself based on some things going on in this world, and we still have to exercise our rights to show up and protest peacefully and make a statement. So here to that. See if I can say it. Chrysalis Tarot. It's written by Tony Brooks, and the paintings and the art are by Holly Sierra. And I also bought this one on a whim. I gravitated towards it because the chrysalis is the phase that the butterfly is in before the butterfly becomes the butterfly. So I felt it was very appropriate and representative when I do readings for friends that are in transition and transformation. And it has not disappointed. I feel like the details in this card never do me wrong. This is the back, also gorgeous. And the blue almost looks, when you turn it this way, like an eye, third eye. But of course, tarot cards are all about communication. Always have something to say. This is a very detailed card. Kind of reminds me a little bit, on the level of detail of the Star Tarot. But again, noticing the purple up here for the third eye and the green, even though it's probably meant to represent some sort of foliage or grass, still makes me think of the heart chakra, because as I've mentioned, there's this correlation I'm finding between those two chakra points in these love cards. So they talk a lot about unity and oneness, which also reminded me of what Colette Baron Reed said in the Good Tarot about love. And again, there's just this rooted feeling in this card, which connects to nature in a variety of ways. And technically, what this represents, this imagery, is a Celtic marriage ceremony. And they talk about the union of opposites through divine attraction, wedding, and reconciliation. So again, going back to that union of opposites, finding that balance in extremes. Here we have our doves again, which, here's our nosedive dove, and here two lovely doves coming together. But I love all the animals and all the different elements that they pull into this card. To me, it's just representative of one love. This is another big box. The Wild Unknown Tarot by Kim Krause. I love Kim's work, and her presentation is gorgeous. So I thought, since we had animals in that last card, we'll just jump right into this one. So she talks about union, desire, and joy. And the Canadian geese that are featured in this card are maters for life. They're traveling partners, and they have a beautiful, strong relationship of honor and respect. When I was looking at this card, it made me think of that song, I Believe I Can Fly, which I can't really sing, so I'm not gonna do that to you guys. I have to remember who sang it. But I also love that she incorporated all these colors. To me, it's representative of all the colors of the chakra system. And it also made me think of the Pride card again, and being representative of all. And this too, I felt like, was representation of the sun and a point of origin. So fly high and stay connected to the light. This is another interesting and complex card for me from the Crow Tarot. which is another gift from my friend Gina. I love when my friends and family give me decks because it always makes me think of them when I use them. And so often I will do readings and trade for card decks. So this is MJ Cullinan. Sorry, I know I've got that wrong. But she has a very complex and detailed card, which I find fascinating. And I will say that crows have started hanging out here a lot more in the last year or two. So this crow tarot came at the right time for me. And I also have her crow oracle. So I highly recommend both. I love them. And crows are so intricate and have a lot to offer. And she captures all of it so beautifully. So some of her keywords are love, business partnerships, choices, and relationships. So this is the first card that we've heard business mentioned. And to me, this very real representation of a heart is just real. It's like real, you know what I'm saying? And she talks about how, yes, the Lovers is about love and unity, but it goes deeper than that because it talks about passion, karmic passion, and soul relationships that span lifetimes. I mean, really, there's so much detail. Also makes me think of the twin flame connection because really they're two halves of the same whole. You know, and as I've pointed out, some of the Lovers card, when they have two components, whether they're human beings or animals or other elements, sometimes they touch and sometimes they don't. So I find that difference interesting. But in this case, their heads are together. And she talks too about, you know, really it's the bird concept and traveling and staying together in strong partnership. I wanted to get this up a little bit closer. I know this is not super clear, you guys. I will upgrade my equipment one day. But I wanted to read just this little bit. She writes, drinking from the same heart binds them as their veins fill with the same life force. Joining their spirit for eternity, together each decision is made as the outcome will forever affect them both. From the person you love to the place you settle down, this card asks that you examine your belief systems and your inner compass when deciding to join forces. The Lovers bring the message that some benefits and consequences will eventually reveal themselves for better or for worse. So again, there's that just sense of kind of hard reality, but connection throughout. Tarot of Mystical Moments. Love this deck. I had to wait for this for a while because it was out of stock and back ordered. And it is by Katrin Weltstein. It's whimsical and modern and just gorge. And birds, have you guys noticed there's an ongoing bird theme? So she talks about being deeply in love and the mutual attraction of the Lovers card and how birds and feathers are representative of freedom of feelings, expansiveness, happiness, and emotions. And I don't know about you, but I feel like, you know, a perfect love is one that does find that right balance of connection and space and gives you the freedom to ultimately be yourself and connect, to fly high with no limits. To me, also, the blue in the feathers, I mean, this could be representative of a blue bird or a blue jay, but again, I go to the throat chakra, communication, and this is representative of the divine masculine and the divine feminine on this side, and as she points out, she is wearing some of his feathers on her feather dress. And she also talks about how they like each other. I mean, the Lovers card is about love. Love is love is love. But she also talks about liking each other. And I thought, that's pretty profound, because to love somebody is one thing, but to like them and to love them both is truly powerful and is another. The White Sage Tarot, it's just one of my loveliest, sweetest, most gentle decks. It was one of my earlier decks too, and I adore it. It comes in this tin and it's small, which is great for me because I have smaller hands, so I can shuffle and work with it easily. And it feels so lovely. I often use this deck when I feel like somebody just needs sweeter, softer energy to bring in, helping bring through the messages. She talks, wait, is this a she? I shouldn't assume. Yes, Teresa Hutch. She talks about soul connection, and this, actually don't know if a seahorse is representative of a twin flame connection, but this made me think of a twin flame connection because even though it's two halves of the same whole, soul whole, two halves of the same soul whole, I feel like they're complementary but different. So it could also represent karmic relationship, soulmate relationship, but it made me think of the fact that love is often a romantic connection when we're talking about it in that context, but it's not always. There's all kinds of love in the world, and love always deeply touches the heart. And I love the water energy of this card. Makes me think of the cups. And just overall, like I said, just has just the sweetest, gentlest energy to it. And look how they're connected at the bottom. More witches, bitches. Everyday Witch. This is another big, beautiful box by Deborah Blake. Super fun. That's the back. You can use it at Halloween, but I use it all year round. I just feel like this card is badassery out of the gate. And two of her quotes in her book are, "Love is all around us and all you need is love." So hashtag love is always the way. She's on my page. I love, again, here we have purple. So to me, that's connecting to spiritual side of life and getting in touch with your intuition. She talks about this blue light being as a feminine energy and a spirit. So someone who's overlooking this partnership and this relationship. And interesting, on here, they are touching, they're holding hands, and they're holding hands up high. And to me, that it just feels very powerful, their connection, and their two kitties below. But I guess my feeling on this is there's a real powerful intention of connection by holding hands higher. And I also, let's see, when I was thinking about this a little bit further, I wrote down the energy of healing and protection and standing together and freedom to make a choice. I think maybe that goes again to the holding hands up higher. This feels like a very powerful card to me. So this is a fun one. The Housewives Tarot. It was designed and made to look like a recipe box. And I think I saw somebody using this and I thought, oh, I have to have it. It is by Paul Keppel and Jude Baffoum. Hope I'm saying that right, Jude. And it's got kind of this kitschy, old school, irreverent energy to it, but at the same time, it is got kind of a modern kick. So I'm actually going to read this one to you because it's brief, but the details I think are not to be missed. The lovers teach us that there is more to romance and relationship than long gazes into each other's eyes and the thrill of putting out in the back seat of a convertible. Matters of the heart are always complicated, and with love comes many responsibilities and repercussions. Don't be blinded by beauty and physical attraction. Keep your eyes on the road and watch for hazards ahead. Word. I like this one also because I feel like, again, like I said, it's fun, but it makes the point of the extremes. Up to you whether you decide to put out in the back seat or not. Almost there, you guys. You can tell it's getting almost dark here, so it's good timing. These are the last two, and I saved this one for second to last because the last one is my absolute all-time favorite deck and lovers card, and the one that I use for myself all the time. But I wanted to do this one second to last because both of them are by Chrysalis, and this is her Muse deck, which is just stunningly gorgeous collage-based artwork. Check it out. So her initial keyword description is textures of entanglement. You had me at hello. And she asked the question, what would you create if love was the main ingredient? So the art and the colors in this card are so significant, and the dimensions, the dimensionality of love, right? There are all sides and all flavors. She also talks a little bit about making a choice and what that looks like and saying yes to love. And she uses the lotus and these flowers in more ways than one. So opening up may make you feel vulnerable and it may feel scary, but it's the only way to go. And there's these beautiful wings. We've seen angel wings in several of these lovers cards, but to me, the fact that they're hanging over the top is representative of the fact that, ultimately we're always loved and we're always guided by our angels and protected when we open up and get in alignment with our path and follow our truth. So last, but definitely not least, is my favorite everyday deck. This is the deck that I have bonded to myself. I only use it for me and my life, and I pull cards on a regular basis. I didn't know out of all these decks, which I use all of them, which one I would feel most drawn to and that would compel me the most, but it is hands down the Light Seers Tarot by Chrysalis. I just love this deck so much. This is her High Priestess card and the colors. And it's interesting because I don't tend to gravitate towards blue so much, but I think it's gorgeous. Just completely draws you in. At least it draws me in. And her Lover's card, for anybody that knows me, probably will not surprise them that this is my favorite Lover's card. Again, I'm very pulled to cards that have a more modern interpretation, and this is just hot and saucy. And I love the red with a little bit of orange and yellow, because to me it's just passion swirling about, surrender and connection, love and light. So I actually want to read this one to you too, because I think this is another one that's worth not missing the details, because it's also, as we've kind of seen, everyone has taken a different direction on each of these cards and pulls out different elements based on their interpretation. But one of the things I love about Chrysalis' description on this particular card is that she really kind of touches on the duality and what it means to come into balance. So the key words are a choice, dualities, harmony, a lover or romantic relationship, friendship, unity, choosing to allow yourself to fall in love, healthy boundaries, and soulmates. Magnetism, like magic, is coming into your life. Yes, please. You're sitting on the cusp of the type of profound connection that happens when two souls are intertwined and their entanglement forever marks their individual paths. Wow. Often this card signifies that an important choice needs to be made. Will you embrace the spiraling energy that unwinds between two people who are beginning to connect and choose to shift into this relationship or not? Falling deeply into trust will be necessary in order to create a lasting bond, and growth around vulnerability, honesty, desire, and intimacy is being called into the light to be healed. While partnerships are beautiful gifts on the path, you must also seek to give fully without weakening your resolve to remain whole. Remember that self-love is the key to balancing the duality in any relationship. And then she ends it by saying, my heart is open to deeply meaningful relationships, and I expand into this union with loving trust. Woo! Fall into trust. Love yourself. That's one of my cards. That's another important element in any relationship. You cannot give from an empty cup. Kind of goes to my video from last week or the week before about the cup's energy and learning how to prepare and heal and fill our own cups to then be able to share with others. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. It was delightful for me to be able to do this today. Thank you for indulging me and all of my decks. And I would love to hear about your favorite tarot card decks and your favorite lovers card. So please feel free to drop a comment or a picture if you can in the comment section below, and we'll continue with this conversation later. Love is always the way.